Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. Hello, Tucker. How are you? He said, oh, I'm having a pretty good day today, Dad. I speak dog. Okay, let's get into this video. I brought two meditation books with me, both of the Melody Beatty books I brought with me. So let's get right into this. I'm gonna try to read both of them today because I've been reading just one meditation and then talking and talking and talking. So let's get into this. I do have my reading glasses today. Let me get a little bit of a sip of my limoncello before I start. And let's get into this. From The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. September, I think it's the 9th. September 9th. Perspective. Too often, we just talked about this the other day, that's crazy. Too often we try to gain a clear perspective before it's time. That will make us crazy. We do not always know why things are happening the way they are. We do not always know how a particular relationship will work out. We do not always understand the source of our feelings, why we've been led down a particular path, what is being worked out in us, what we are learning, why we needed to recycle, why we had to wait, why we needed to go through a time of discipline, or why a door closed. How our present circumstances will work into the larger scheme of events is not always clear to us. That is how it needs to be. Perspective will come in retrospect. We could strain for hours today for the meaning of something that may come in an instant or in a year, in an instant next year. Let it go. We can let go of our need to figure things out, to feel in control. Now is the time to be, to feel, to go through it, to allow things to happen, to learn, to let whatever is being worked out in us take its course. In hindsight, we will know. It will become clear. For today, being is enough. We have been told that all things shall work out for good in our life. We can trust that to happen, even if we cannot see the place today's events will hold in the larger picture. Today, I will let things happen without trying to figure everything out. If clarity is not available to me today, I will trust it to come later, in retrospect. I will put simple trust in the truth that all is well, events are unfolding as they should, and all will work out for good in my life, better than I can imagine. What a fantastic meditation, you know. I think a lot about perspective, and when you're in recovery, perspective is something that you talk about a lot, or at least I think we should be talking about it a lot. I know I do with my friends and my sponsor, in the way that you look at things and how you see things. I love the Maya Angelou quote that when you're going through one of the biggest tragedies, it's something like this, that when you're going through one of the biggest tragedies in your life, look up and say thank you because you're about to learn one of the most valuable lessons. I am someone that very much trusts the journey. I used to be a believer that, like the whole idea that God never gives you more than you can handle in a day. And do you ever have like a belief about something that you hold on to for so long and then like in 1 second, like that whole belief changes? I was in a meeting one time and I heard one of my friends say something to the effect of, this was years and years ago, something to the effect of believing that it's not that God doesn't give us more than we can handle in a day. It's that with kind of like God's grace that we can handle anything. And I thought about that and I was like, God, that's like such a, a kind of a profound statement, that I think that's true. And I don't think that you have to be any kind of believer in a higher power or pertain to any one, belief of a higher power. That can be with anything. You can believe that about the universe, that, the universe works out in ways that maybe things come back and the way that they're supposed to. I don't know, whatever makes sense to you, But when I thought about that, I thought that is so true, that with like leaning into my higher power, of which I do have one, leaning into my higher power, looking at prayer, looking at my part in that, looking at patience, that, there is a God and I'm not it, and I need to play co-pilot and let the pilot like kind of drive the plane, so to speak. But I have to sit back, and kind of say to myself that maybe this journey that I'm on isn't mine to navigate, necessarily. Now, I'm not a believer that we don't have free will. I'm very much a believer that we do have free will, but I feel like we're like on some kind of, certain journey or road and we have choices. It's very much to me, like this is gonna sound crazy and some people are gonna be like, oh Peter, I don't get that at all. And other people will be like, okay, I can get with that. But I very much believe that life is kind of like a choose your own adventure book. You remember those from when you were a kid? And that there are these situations in life that come before us that are kind of like those choose your own adventure moments, right? I think perspective is like that too, but at the time that something is happening, we don't look at it the same way that we would like a year down the road. You know, for example, I'm a believer that all the relationships that I had led me to the relationship that I'm in today, right? That doesn't mean that I dismiss those relationships. Those relationships were very meaningful at parts of my life, you know? And I would never dismiss anything. I mean, I had some really, really great times with my exes. And, you know, one of the hardest things for me is when friends of mine go through breakups and they'll say, none of it was true, none of it meant anything. And I say to my friends, that's not true, you know, like it did. Like so much of that relationship meant something, you know, just because it ended horribly, because a lot of relationships do, but just because it ended horribly doesn't mean that there was no, you know, truth to the relationship, that there wasn't anything positive. I mean, you guys had a lot of great times, you know, don't like, that's the perspective in looking back, that, oh, it was all a lie, but don't like live in the lie, you know. Remember those good times. And I'm somebody that at the end of a relationship or whatever, you know, I try to, at the end of anything, I try to like look back and remember all of the positive things. It's interesting that I'm talking about that specifically because I was sitting at the pool today, and the pool is getting ready to close, like any day. They're supposed to close it this week. I'm kind of surprised it isn't closed already, but it was like 87, 88 today, and it was beautiful. And I got in the pool, but you know, like 88, 87 in July is like super hot. The 87 or 88 in September, it doesn't feel as hot. I don't know what that's about. And so I was in the pool, and there was a couple other people that have been up there. This woman with her son, they've been like the whole summer they've been up there, and her mom. So it's been like, you know, mom and son and then grandma, you know, have been there the whole summer. And then there was another woman that's been up there quite a bit. And I was talking to them at the pool, and I was just kind of like sitting in the stairs drinking my coffee, you know, leaning back. And I really practiced this summer the art of being present. Like I really learned to just put my phone away. Like I've been so good with my phone this summer of not like being on my phone all the time, you know, of just like separating my life from like having to be on the phone or social media and stuff, and just being present in the moment. And the pool has been such a great place for that. And I was sitting there, and I was thinking to myself, okay, it's 9 months until the pool opens again. And I was thinking about all the great times that I had this summer and stuff. And I was like, you know, there's going to be great times fall and winter too, you know, that I'm looking forward to. And I think it's really about living in the moment, you know, and appreciating those things that happened in the past to us, and not like only looking at the negative. It's so easy in retrospect to look at the bad times and not the good times, you know. And so, I don't know, I think it's about, you know, it's very interesting to me. Like my mom died at 64. And so at her funeral, there were so many people that really focused on, you know, wow, she died so young, which she did, you know, or, you know, she had so much more life in her and things like that. And then you go to a funeral of somebody that's like in their late 90s or 100, you know, and people always say they had such a great life. And there's like this difference in just 20 or 30 years, you know, that we can say to somebody, like they had such a great life. And I think it's because we look back on it and we measure the quality of life and how many years you lived instead of the quality of the years you lived, you know. What's that saying? Oh, shoot, it's not the, oh darn it, why can't I remember this? It's like something in the, not the minutes, but the, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a beauty pageant thing. I've heard it a million times, pageant queens say it. It's not like the moments that you live, but the lives in the moment, or something like that. Somebody put it below. I know somebody knows what I'm talking about. But you know, like there's a lot of truth to that. You know, it's like I remember watching this Dr. Phil on Oprah years ago when this woman, her daughter had been murdered when she was 18, and she continued to, like, she never cleaned up her bedroom, she never did anything different to her because she couldn't, she refused to move through it, you know. And Dr. Phil asked her, he said, would your daughter be happy with the fact that you've left her room the same? It had been like 10 years or 20 years or something like that. And she said, oh no, she'd be very upset with me. And he said, do you think it's possible that instead of, you know, focusing on the day that she died, because she was just caught up in this, like, talking about, like, the day that they found her and the day that she died. He goes, do you think it's possible that instead of focusing on the day that she died, that you could celebrate the life that she had for 18 years? And you literally in the moment, it's probably on YouTube somewhere. If I find it, I'll link it below. You literally in that moment can see, I mean, this woman's eyes, and she just has this total aha moment. And she starts crying, and she says on there, you know, that her plan was to come on the show, tell her story, and take her life. And she's like, but now I don't have to do that, you know? It gets me choked up because I think about that. Like, there have been so many moments in my life where I felt really stuck, you know, in looking back. Like, I didn't feel like there was any moving on for me or moving through it, like I believe, you know. And it just takes one thing that somebody says to you to change your whole perspective about how you look at things, you know. And I don't know, like, I think that anytime, whatever life we've had with whoever we have, if they're not in our lives anymore, we have to remember that those were people that we met along the way in our journey. You know, it's like in The Wizard of Oz, you know, just because, you know, like the Munchkins aren't with Dorothy through the whole thing doesn't mean that you forget them. Like, that's a very pivotal part of the journey, right? So you remember, you know, Munchkin Land, and you remember all of that is the singing and the song and all that kind of stuff. Remember, you know, like when you're watching The Wizard of Oz, you think about that. Like, if somebody asks you what are big parts of, you know, you think about the flying monkeys, you think about all of that kind of stuff. Are they the main characters? No. Okay, but just because they're not the main characters didn't mean that they didn't mean anything, you know? If they didn't mean anything and they weren't in the movie, then the movie would have been 10 minutes long, right? So whether you had a relationship that was a year or 6 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever, and it meant something to you, that was time you spent with somebody. Just because they're no longer in your life doesn't mean that they didn't impact you at that time. And don't forget that, you know, we want to look back and make sense of things in our head, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. All right, I'm going to try to read one more meditation. My battery is at half battery, but I don't know that it's going to die. We'll see if I can get one more in. Okay, September 9th. I feel like it might be the 10th today. Is it the 10th today? I don't know. September 9th. Take time to be pleased. Take time to be pleased with, this is from Melody Beatty's Journey to the Heart. September 9th, take time to be pleased. Take time to be pleased with all the beauty in this world. Do more than drive by and casually notice a particularly beautiful stretch of scenery. This is something I need to do more. I talk about this all the time and I never do it. Stop the car, get out, take it in. See it, smell it, touch it if possible. Absorb and feel the beauty you see. Then thank the universe for giving this moment to you. Take time to be pleased with your creations too. Your work, your life, yourself. Look around, then look again. Take time to see the beauty in your own life. Take time to absorb and be pleased with the beauty you see. Then take this gift to others too. Take time to notice and really see all that is beautiful in the people you know. Then tell them aloud what they mean to you and how beautiful you think they are. Opening up to ourselves and the world means learning to recognize and absorb its beauty. Allow yourself to grow, to define, and to redefine what true beauty means and feels like to you. You may have deprived yourself of noticing beautiful sights too long. It's time to take those dark glasses off. Appreciate the beauty around you. Our soul is nurtured and fed by taking pleasure in the beauty in this world. I love this meditation. You know, it's interesting because I'll drive by like these fields all the time, right? Like mustard fields. And I actually, when I was in high school, I did this whole like photo shoot through it because I took a lot of photography classes in high school, and I had my friends walk through this, well, it was my one friend and this, I don't know how she knew this other girl, but anyway, I had them walk through this mustard field just like holding hands and stuff, and it was like it just was amazing to be in this like field of yellow, you know. It's like, if you've ever seen the movie The Color Purple with Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah, or if you've like read the book Color Purple by Alice Walker, at the part at the very end, when they're walking through the field and Suge says, she says, that is where the whole idea of The Color Purple comes up, the name of the book. And she says something to the effect of, I think God gets pissed when you walk by the color purple and you don't notice it. And what that's about is really noticing the small beauty in things. Ask yourself, do you really notice that? You know, do you notice the small moments with your child, that they're laughing at a television show, you know, or that, you know, I don't know, like your grandma smiling at you, or, you know, like it was interesting because I was watching this video that my husband took of his mom or his grandma the other day because it was her 90th birthday. And there was like a moment in there when she reached over, her friend who's similar to her in age was sitting next to her while this guy was singing. And she like reached over and put her hand on the top. It's like small, beautiful moments like that that really are what make life, you know? It's like when I think about all the things I miss about my mom, the thing I miss the most about my mom are her hugs. That's it, you know? It's all those small things. There's been so many fields I have passed by through the years, like when I have to drive somewhere or take a road trip, that there's like a beautiful creek going off somewhere. Now, I typically go right to thinking about serial killers, which is why I don't stop, and there's nowhere to go, you know? But I've always thought, like, why not just stop and like walk along a creek side, or, you know, take in a field, or at least just stop and like appreciate it for a moment and just slow down, you know? And like I said, this summer in the pool, I've really practiced being present. Just being present in the moment. and really appreciating like the taste of a cup of coffee, you know, or the taste of a fresh piece of fruit, or the smell of somebody's perfume or cologne, you know, or just, you know, crisp, clean sheets on the bed, and, you know, scissoring your feet and the air conditioning, you know, or the fan, and just the small moments of things, you know, listening to the, you know, the birds in the morning, or my squirrel table, or whatever, or watching these little guys. Oh my God, Boo Radley is laying down on the floor. He never lays on the floor. He must be doing that because he's hot or something. Are you hot, buddy? You want to come up here and say goodbye to everybody? Come on. Come here, honey. He said, I want to say goodbye to everybody. All right. So we're going to go have dinner in just a second. You hungry? You want to have dinner? He said, I think I want to have dinner. Anyway, notice the small things in life. Appreciate the small things in life. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.